Welcome to the Money Down. Back again with another episode. We got a special guest, Jagger May.
Yes,
Rotowire fantasy football expert. Join us tonight. I mean, football season is here. Fantasy football season is here. I mean, we're about to start our own league, our Money Down league coming up soon. Have a little fantasy draft, and we got to get to the nitty-gritty. I mean, last year we did our first Money Down fantasy football league. We had another Rotowire analyst on last year, and I selected Josh Allen with the number 1 overall pick. He told me it was a bad pick at the time. It was. It wasn't bad. It turned out really bad. But, you know, I was banking on Josh having another great year. I mean, I know as he told me, typically guys that have a great year end up taking a step back the next year in fantasy football. So what guy in fantasy football this year do you think will take a step back from having a big year that he had in 2025?
It's Jonathan Taylor, and it's not like Jonathan Taylor is one of these guys where you just feel bad for him because he is incredibly talented, but you got to ask yourself the questions because when you look at his splits from when Daniel Jones was healthy, the offense was healthy, and when it wasn't, it's night and day because they're asking him to go out there and be Jesus, you know?
Yeah, that's facts.
Like you got to ask yourself, has Daniel Jones been healthy for a full season in his career? No. Is Daniel Jones great? I'm still like that season was weird. I need about 4 more games before I believe.
We told Warren that a couple weeks ago. That's the
Danny Dimes. Sometimes the grass is green on the other side. We talk about it. Danny Dimes is in a great place.
You're not wrong. Shane Steichen's got a really good system for him, but I need to see it one more time. Just one more time.
I mean, Daniel Jones need to see it one more time. I don't know. I don't think he necessarily believed in himself neither. I mean, he had it going early on, you know. We had a little faith, everything else like that. But then, you know, things started to taper off a little bit. But, hey, I mean, year 2 with Shane Steichen, he may play his best ball yet. You never know. Never know, man.
But I want to ask you what – I got you. I was going to ask you, you know, what's a position or a player that you think should be taken early this year if you got one of those 1 or 2 picks? That first or that second pick in your fantasy league's draft, who you think somebody or a position that's a must grab?
It's running back. You got to think this was the worst running back class that I've like 5 years. Besides fantasy, I'm actually a rookie evaluator. In my 5 years, it is the worst running back class that I've ever seen. So when you don't have that it is not good, man. It was even the combine. It was the least amount of running back invites in combine history. It was all about edge rushers and defense.
Yeah.
So you don't have that influx of talent that comes in. You have like 4 or 5 guys every year that work their way in a rotation or be starters. That is a lot of value that's lost in fantasy. So I'm attacking running back early. Like some of these other guys, they're sleeping on Chase Brown. Man, like the Bengals, their defense is not good. You know what that means? That offense. Hey, Joe Burrow, come save me. You know, like that's what they're going to do the entire time. And Chase Brown is out there catching passes. They still haven't drafted a running back that is anything but like respect to Samaje Perine. He's one of those football players, not good for fantasy. You know, they want him out there on 3rd down because he's good at pass blocking. He's not a real threat to Chase Brown in his production.
I mean, I know you said the running back class was kind of down, but, you know, the 2 dudes that was drafted in the first round out of Notre Dame, I mean, I like Jadarian Price in the place where he's going with the Seattle Seahawks. You don't think he has any potential to be a little bit of a fantasy sleeper this year?
He is, and I'm taking both him because, like, Ashton Genty taught everybody a really good lesson last season. I was just like, hey, like I said about Jonathan Taylor, Ashton Genty's dope. You know, who's not dope? The Raiders. And I don't know what they're doing with Pete Carroll. So, like, maybe sit this one out, and then we'll reevaluate next season. And now look at where we're at. Jeremiah Love, he's right at that perfect spot where we're not like he's going to be your second running back most of the time. And he still has like his only problem is a high ankle sprain. And they just released Trey Benson, RIP. Like I hope he lands somewhere great because it just hasn't worked out for him. So that opens things up. I like both of these guys. Jadarian Price at that cost of where he's going like 4th, 5th round. He is a 1st round running back. We talked about money a little bit pre-show. You know what costs money? 1st round picks. So they want him to get the ball early, especially at running back.
Mm-hmm. You think he eventually usurps Charbonnet with how good he's been for you?
Yeah, the big thing for him is can he pass block? That's what keeps Charbonnet, because everyone was annoyed about Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is a great running back, but Zach Charbonnet keeps you ahead of the chains. People are like, he only gets 4 yards a carry, but he gets you 4 yards every time. And he can catch passes and pass block. If Jajarian Price can do that, that'll fend off Zach Charbonnet. But what I think, it's just kind of plug and play. He has that same boom bust play style. So where you're drafting him at as your RB3, you're throwing him in and you're praying that this is a week he's going to break one for 20, and he's catching passes, which he didn't do in college. So that could be something as well.
Yeah. I did see that on Hard Knocks when, Mike McDonald said they can't cover him. I was like, yeah, you didn't really see that from him at Notre Dame. But, I mean, that's how it was for me at Wisconsin, too. That wasn't really our offense, but fully capable of doing it. So I'm excited to watch him. Speaking of another position where you don't draft early, but if you get a good one, it comes in clutch. I know I drafted Brandon Aubrey from the Cowboys last year, and he make 60-yard field goals
golden leg
like that. So what do you think is the right round to draft you a good kicker in fantasy football?
I draft kickers last, and I actually don't draft a defense. I do not draft a defense. Because stuff happens up until kickoff at that point. And then right at kickoff, I'm going to go pick up a defense. And then there's always a defense that all of a sudden we're like, oh, wow, I didn't know they were very good. They were going to be any good. So that is how I approach it. Is it crazy? Yes, but you need to be crazy to win. And most of the time, if a defense isn't going to help you. So whatever last round, I look at the kickers and I'm like, who's got a bad defense and an offense that might not finish drives? Taking that kicker, and then I'll worry about Sunday morning whatever defense is available. I'll let other people worry about defense. That's not my game.
Streaming defenses week to week.
That's bold,
man. Bro, I think the last couple years in all of my leagues, I usually try to stick with. It's so funny. I try to stick with the same defense in every league that I participate in, and it's paid off because the last couple of years, I've hit big on a defense that has put up 15 to 20 points 3 or 4 weeks out of the season. And I think and those have been in some crucial weeks. So I feel like a defense, especially if you get a good one, for example, and not just because I'm a Rams fan.
There you go,
I feel like the Rams gonna put us on points based off of sacks and turnovers and whatnot. I just feel like, right, that helps. It's gotta help.
And one thing that I used to do when I still believed in that, and full disclosure, I'm going to tell on myself, I'm a lifelong Patriots fan. Actually, since Randy Moss went there. Randy Moss was my favorite player, and my dad said, you got to commit, son. You can't keep bouncing teams. And I'm like, I guess that I'm going to choose the Patriots. And then, I'm from Arkansas, so no one told me about Boston as a city, and y'all know what I'm talking about. So I was like, you are a Boston fan? I'm like, yeah, I didn't know. So I'm a Patriots fan. I used to take the Patriots because they're boring, but they don't give up points, and occasionally they get turnovers. Everybody's like, who's going to get your defense? I'm like, y'all can fight over the 49ers back when, they were loaded. I'm going to get the Pats defense because Bill Belichick. I just know he's not going to lose me weeks. And then there's going to be a couple of weeks where he's going to get a rookie quarterback and going to just eat him up.
Eat him alive,
yeah. Yeah, so those are the defenses I look for. Someone who isn't flashy, but that they're going to get the job done. And those are like Vic Fangio defenses. You're drafting coordinators, guys. That's who you're drafting at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Since we're on the topic of defense, what do you think? Right, I know it's a bold statement. You said you take defenses last, or not even at all. Sometimes with the week. But what is if you had to kind of predict a defense that's going to turn it up this year, what's a team that you think I'm going to play some good ball?
The easiest one is the Ravens, man, because they were beat up and they just didn't get a good replacement. That's what happened to Harbaugh. He's had years of having at least a good defense. He got one dude who couldn't come in and get it done. Jesse Minter has been solid multiple seasons for the Chargers now. And I'm actually reading training camp reports. The offense isn't quite there yet, but the defense has been solid week in and week out. So that's someone who was, if people are just looking at box scores, they gave up a lot a lot of points last season. So if people are looking at box scores, they might be fading the Ravens, and they're that type of defense. So I'm talking about the Patriots, where people are going to be, they're kind of sleeping on the Ravens in general. I can talk about that all day long, how people are sleeping on the Ravens. There's someone that you're going to be getting later that is probably going to be safe. They're not going to be that defense that gives you negative points every week.
Yeah. I mean, I should have brought this up earlier, but can you talk about, people that, may not be as detailed as yourself and some other experts in fantasy football, how Rotowire can help them get prepared for their fantasy football drafts, whether it's, different rankings or mock drafts and everything else like that?
The biggest thing is and I'll be straight up, if anything, I'm annoying to work with, because what makes me good at my job is I say anything, and what makes me bad at my job is I say anything. So I actually do like our tools. The big thing is all of our rankings are individual, and we all have our individual channels. So if someone likes me and they like my strategy, they literally can look at my draft strategy and load that up and use our draft assistant, where I'm telling you now, robust running back early, take care of your running backs, get Zay Flowers 3rd round. For some reason, the fantasy community thinks that Zay Flowers is a bad player. It's beyond me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I will take him as my wide receiver 1. That's a draft strategy that you can load up. The other thing too is the weekly stats, where I tell people, when you want to teach a man to fish, you want to look at everything in 4-week windows. And then we have a really good data suite where it pretty much shows you everything that's happening within a 4-week sample, because this is actually real football stuff that you understand, James. It's your team's going to change every 4 weeks. Some of your rookies are going to get better. Some of your injuries are going to be happening. There's all these outside things. So you can't look at everything over a full season. So that's why I point people to this data, look at things in small bite-sized samples. So, and that if you want, now, let's say you're drafting this weekend, you want to get some mocks in, we have that mock draft simulator as well. And again, I'm over there and I'm smart and I'm the top 5 running back ranker for a reason, because I understand how actual football works. So that's my
I will say shout out to Rotowire, bro, because I won 2 of my 3 leagues that I was in last year because of Rotowire. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Thank you.
My
Use
draft
Jag 35.
You said what? Say that again?
I said use Jag 35 for 35% off right now.
Say less. Jag 35. Say less.
Heck yeah. What is your preferred method of playing fantasy football? How many teams do you like to have in your leagues? You PPR, non-PPR? What do you feel like is the best way to play?
PPR only and super flex. And this is I'm gross. I'm a sicko. I only like Dynasty, man. And if it's me, it's Dynasty IDP, because the point of my love of football is I'm from the South, man. Football's life down here. I want to manage my own team. I'm not going to be Howie Roseman. That I'm 34 and I didn't go to law school. That's but I can manage the hell out of a fantasy football team, and I love rookie evaluation. That's something I do that's close to football. So Dynasty, talking about rookies, that's the way I do it. And that's my marriage. I'm in 15 Dynasty leagues. I have mistresses in redraft, y'all play the normal leagues. I only do 5 of those.
I mean, you talk about rookies. A rookie that I think is going to have a big year, not just for fantasy football, but in general, is Jacoby Lane. I know we talk about Zay Flowers, but I think Jacoby Lane is going to have a big year for the Baltimore Ravens. How do you think that translates into fantasy football? May not quite be the same, but how do you think it translates for him?
I think it's what is Declan Doyle going to do? Because the thing I get annoyed, because again, I come from rookie evaluation. I watch tape, understand usage. Declan Doyle's bringing over one of the most unique offenses Lamar Jackson has ever had, and he has one of the most unique quarterbacks he's ever had. Lamar Jackson is not the same as Caleb Williams. He's definitely not Jared Goff. So I just like the upside of everyone, like Rashad Bateman and Jacoby Lane. And my big question is here, and this is I'm going to some sicko stuff. Jacoby Lane 2 years ago was a different player than he was this past year, because he was I think he was a top 10 receiver that I had graded at this time. And I was he's a borderline first rounder is what I thought. And then he was just slow and injured. And then when you get these lower body injuries, you just don't look like the same player. But all I can look at is that sample size there. So if he's anything like he was the year before, they got a steal, and they've got a top 5 receiving core that can compete with anybody there, because apparently Mark Andrews is cooked, what I've heard. So they really need him to be out there. So
yeah.
They say he cooked.
I can see that. I can see that though. Come on, man. Mark done put his time in, fam.
It's like sometimes it happens, man. Yeah, you get injured and then they pile up.
Sure, but them tight ends, man, they could play for a long time. Man.
Very long time.
I know he ain't been as, up here the last couple of years, but I think he still got some of the tank to where he can, especially with all the weapons around him, where he ain't really like that number one threat no more. Because he was Lamar's number one target before they really got Zay Flowers, and he really started coming into his own. Now it's kind of trickled down a little bit, so maybe it's less pressure on him. They get matched up on linebackers more, all that good stuff. I don't know. I mean, I ain't gonna draft him or nothing, but
you're like, you be safe though. Like I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for him, but over here,
I'm on my team. But I think he'll have a decent year. We talked about him a little bit earlier. We're talking about the Browns and their quarterback situation. They named Deshaun Watson their starting QB. Do you think he has any fantasy value this upcoming season? Will anybody be drafting Deshaun Watson at all in this upcoming year?
No, you're not intentionally drafting him. And I'll be honest,
QB3.
If you're playing in like a normal 1 QB one, there's not even a reason to draft Shadur Sanders. I think he should be the starter at all. Like the only person I'm drafting, 2 people I'm drafting on the Browns, Quinshon Judkins and Casey Concepcion, because Casey Concepcion is one of those players that can just get it done himself. So like just get him the ball in space and let him cook. So that's it.
Not Harold Fanning. You're not gonna give him a chance.
I would say he played tight end, right?
Yeah.
I heard Cleveland got a
and Njoku's not there anymore either.
He's actually fallen a lot to where I think I'm sleeping on him, because like I was the only one that he was my tight end too, and I got cooked on Twitter. If you guys have ever been on that site on there, they're like he plays for Bowling Green and he's not that athletic. I was like, but I've never seen a more productive tight end ever. Then he comes out and balls out. So I'm probably sleeping on him. Harold Fannin, you are correct. I stand corrected on that one.
Yeah. Harold definitely be snapping. And then we also had a trade. Kayshon Boutte got traded to the Houston Texans. Obviously, he's a big play guy for the Patriots over the last couple of years. Him getting traded to the Texans, do you think his fantasy value goes up or is it going down by being traded to the Texans?
It goes up, meaning that he's draftable and you can be slightly excited. He's going to be your wide receiver 3 or 4, like a bench player that you hope does well. Because I'm going to be honest, I have my reservations about the Texans as a whole for multiple reasons. Some of it is like they have a very good defense. Good defenses are not great for fantasy because like they don't need to do much a lot of times out there. There's like, all right, you got the ball in the 50, dink, dunk, and then someone's sprinting in the end zone. And on top of that, is he going to be as good in this system as he was with Josh McDaniels? Because as someone who's played in a Josh McDaniels system, it is as good as its players are. But at the same time, it's a damn good system for a lot of these players to get them open and get them in the correct usage. But I am in on Booty at cost. More importantly, I want to go to the Patriots over here. I low-key like Pop Douglas, and like if you just want to do something wild at the end of it, like Pop Douglas and or Kyle Williams, because I was going through camp reports, they're treating Pop as a starter out there. There's going to be a lot of tight end action, so it might be fluky, but Pop Douglas is now free. You know, he's a free elf, as Dobby would say. So,
no, I mean, I thought when Josh came back last year, he's going to thrive in the system because it's made for guys like himself, all the juke routes underneath and all that stuff. It didn't quite work out in year one. It kind of turned Stephon Diggs into that versus him. So maybe year 2, him being a little bit more comfortable. I could definitely see that. I mean, targets may be a little bit limited for him, with Dobbs and, Hunter Henry, AJ Brown, and then obviously Ramondre coming out of the backfield and everything else. So, but we'll see though. I mean, that also could open up more opportunities for him because he gonna get the 3rd, 4th worst defender on him and you go eat. So, we'll definitely see what happens. What quarterback that had a down year this past year, maybe a guy like C.J. Stroud didn't perform that great, do you think will have a pretty good fantasy performance this year?
Baker Mayfield. They pissed off Baker.
Oh.
They pissed him off, man, and he was injured last season. So when you have a mad Baker Mayfield and a team that's now healthy, and with Egbuka, that's he got turf toe, and they're not saying he has turf toe, so I'm just waiting on that to happen. But you still got Chris Godwin coming back. Jalen McMillan, the only thing that's been wrong with him has been injuries, but if he comes back, he's good. Ted Hurst is a sleeper. They are filled with wide receivers who can play ball, and Baker Mayfield is playing on a contract, and he's just been a good football player. If you just stay healthy, he's someone that I think can be like a top 8-ish player who fell out of that last season purely because of injury.
What do you think about Bryce Young this year?
I need to see it. I need to see it, man, because he was better. Here's the thing that's objectively true about Bryce Young. He has gotten better every season. He takes a little too long to get better. They were a playoff team. If they miss the playoffs this year, Bryce Young's job is in trouble because there's probably 6 quarterbacks that are going to come in, and then Dave Canales can finally get his guy, not try to fix Bryce Young. And congrats, you're traded to the Jets. Good luck, buddy. You know, that's it. That's what ends up happening to players like this. So I'm worried. I need him to really get it together. And I think Chris Brazzell hurts them because they didn't have a field stretcher to leave Tedero McMillan, because like now that type of receiver, they want to get in the slot to use like a tight end to beat linebackers. Having Chris Brazzell opens that up for the entire offense and for Jalen Coker. Him being gone, I think, is a little bit of a worry. So I just need to see it, you know.
Yeah. It's such a slow division, though. You know, I mean, it's the NFC South, and I'm a Falcon fan, so it's a bad division. But I will I will say though, I think Bryce is I think he's a player, right? I do feel you a little bit on if he don't have a good year, but I think I think he still has a little bit more leeway. Just because of the surrounding and the situation that he's in. I do think they're a piece away. Like maybe obviously you need a bunch of receivers, but I think if you get him another good receiver and then you have McMillan on the outside who's growing, I think we'll see a little bit more from him. I'm surprised they weren't in the conversation of trying to trade for like a Kayshawn or any receiver that's out there that could be moved, because like I said, their defense is good, right? Got good corners, got a D line that can get to the quarterback, but missing I think another receiver on the outside to help him.
To give him his credit, they had a really poor offensive line. They draft Monroe Freeland. I think he is a stud. Where they got him at 19 was nuts, because I think he was a number 1 rated offensive lineman. Their new GM that they got in here. You know, you hear some GMs talk and you're like, how did you get this job? That's not with him. I feel like he's making all the right moves, the right decisions. He's a lot of what these modern guys are doing, which analytics matters to an extent. You don't want to get all crazy, which I think the Jaguars done, but getting a player like Monroe Freeling improves the entire offense, because you can actually protect your quarterback's blind side to where he can actually settle in the pocket, not get happy feet, deliver a good ball.
Oh, definitely. You brought them up, man. Got the New York Jets, man. How weary should people be of drafting offensive skill players from the New York Jets? Because they seem to can't get it right from year in to year out. I mean, they get Geno, get a veteran quarterback. But guys like
anybody, bro?
They got Geno Smith. And you got obviously Garrett Wilson. You got the 2 tight ends now. You got Mason Taylor and Sadiq. And they traded for A.D. Mitchell last year. So they got and you got Breece Hall at running back. So you got skill guys. And Braylon Allen as well. So, but should people be weary of drafting offensive skill players from the Jets?
There's just no higher upside, man. Like, can we just Garrett Wilson, man, is a top 3 talent receiver. He is a top 3 talent receiver. The bar for him is, and this is crazy, I think he's almost the same as Justin Jefferson is. Like, just the bar for him to be good is so low. Geno Smith just has to be the 32nd best quarterback. in the league. And I think that Garrett Wilson is an absolute smash. Because like right now, depending on how you draft, it's wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. You're not really overpaying for Garrett Wilson anymore. And Geno Smith has played competent football. Is he better than Zach Wilson? I think so. And on top of that, this Cade Klubnik is one of these guys who's physically gifted. It's just between the ears sometimes. I'm just like, why? Anytime I watch his tape, I'm like, why would you do that? If Geno Smith isn't there, if Cade Klubnik gets some better coaching in the NFL and they finally got people who can coach someone, that's someone who I'm weirdly curious if he's going to get some snaps. So, yes, I think you should be buying all the Jets players. And I honestly think Mason Taylor is underrated as well. A lot of NFL teams are running 12 personnel. Kenyon Sadiq's a better blocker than Mason Taylor. So even when Kenyon Sadiq is healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mason Taylor have an equal target share.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to ask you, because I know this is something that's a big topic. If you have the number 1 pick, for your fantasy draft, who are you taking? Receiver, running back, and Jahmyr Gibbs?
Not Bijan?
Jahmyr Gibbs, because Jared Goff is just good
too
enough.
As well.
Like it's literally that. Like some of these decisions is: do you have a quarterback? Are you in a good offense? And Jahmyr Gibbs has a quarterback. He's in a good offense. Atlanta, do they have a quarterback? I'm not sure. Is it a good offense? For tight ends, Kyle Pitts is going to have a great year. That's the one thing I know about Stefanski is that the tight end's going to do well in the running back. So that's why if I get Bijan as my number 2 pick, I'm just as happy and the upside is just as there because he's the Justin Jefferson of running backs. The margin for him to be successful is so low.
So again, we obviously Jahmyr's going to get his touches and whatnot, but similar to what they did with, like, for example, David Montgomery when they had that carry share. Do you think they're going to be something similar with Isaiah Pacheco? Because he's
not even healthy right now, man.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, he's not even healthy right now. Like David Montgomery. Every time he got a touch, he deserved it. You're like, that's why they keep giving David Montgomery touches. Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco's the opposite. Like, as a Chiefs, like, I've been against Chiefs fans for a long time just because I'm like, man, you guys underrate how great of a coach Andy Reid is and how good of a quarterback Patrick Mahomes is. And, like, no disrespect to Isaiah Pacheco because he's a hard player, but I've watched him run routes backwards. Like, he's facing the wrong way. He doesn't offer much in the receiving game. He isn't as explosive and just a natural runner as David Montgomery is. His big trait is he runs hard, and that's what separates you from good and special. And I don't know if Pacheco has that. Whereas Jahmyr Gibbs, they have said that we want to get him the ball more and more often. I think them getting rid of David Montgomery is indicative of that. So
no,
I just think it's so tough because we know how the running back life work. And, especially, if you're going to take on the load of getting that, that amount of more touches, I just feel like that puts you at risk of what all the other running backs face, which is injury. You look at the Christian McCaffreys, you look at I just had it in my mind. I'm going blank. You look at the Jonathan Taylors, right? Who get those 20, 25 carries. It's kind of hard for them to go through the season and not get hurt. So I think they're going to have to use Pacheco. Like, I agree with what you're saying, but I think they got to use Pacheco and they got to put him in those situations where he can go out there.
On the flip side, there's Brian Robinson in Atlanta. I think it's the same thing. Algier was a better player than Robinson. So I think these guys are going to get like a 75% snap share. Whereas they were getting close to 65 and in some games 55 because if the Lions were up, who was getting the ball? David Montgomery. They're like, all right, take us home, David. David Montgomery left, David Montgomery right. There's going to be a little bit less of that is where I'm at. Like, I'm always thinking in percentages and margins and on some of these things. And I think the margin is going to increase for both of these players. And yes, what you're saying is like Pacheco, I do think, because I actually just drafted Pacheco in Vegas in a high stakes league. Like, I took him as my last pick. I think he's going to get carries, but it's not going to be David Montgomery. It's going to be I hope he gets in and falls in the red zone, or they get up a lot of points, then they give it to Pacheco. And I also think the Lions defense is just not great right now. The Falcons have improved on the defensive end.
Yeah, for sure.
The Lions, they just lost Terran Arnold forever.
Yeah.
You know, they had to let him go. So they just had really unfortunate luck. So I expect a lot of shootouts with them.
Yeah.
I would say this though. I don't. Oh, my fault.
No, you go ahead.
No, I think you got to expect a lot of shootouts from Atlanta too. Obviously, we lost both our ends that we drafted. You know, one to situation he had this offseason, and another to I want to say an ACL injury. We got the pieces in the back end, but still, we know that pass rush in the league mean everything. If you can't get to the quarterback, you're gonna be out of it. You're gonna be out there on the field for a while. So.
There's one thing we gonna agree on, just the NFC South. There's a lot of coin flips in there, man. This is
100%.
My question was going to be, we were talking about running backs and then handcuffing running backs or, having two running backs on the same team. If you had to handcuff a running back duo, just because running backs run out, in the draft, who would you handcuff and why?
The Raiders, you got to now, because how big is the Ashton Genty injury? You're going to be paying still at a discount, a premium price for Genty. And I've already said this since the draft. Mike Washington is going to be a committee back for someone, if not the lead. He is too big, too fast. Again, I'm an Arkansas fan. I've watched us lose every game. He's the one bright spot out there. He's got some receiving. His only holdback is pass blocking. He's not a great pass blocker, but he has the size to beat. If he was like the Michael Carter size ones, I don't know if he's going to get there, but he has the size to be. I'm taking him as standalone value, but you want Mike Washington as a backup. And then even if Genty is going to be getting 350 touches total, I think that Mike Washington's going to get a lot, because who are they throwing to? They announced that Trey Tucker is our wide receiver one. That's not great, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be running a lot.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I was gonna say, what about Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson?
I'm taking L's on Trevion Henderson, man. I'm taking L's. I was a big Trevion Henderson fan. Apparently in his big thing holding him back is boom bust. He keeps you behind the chains because he'll run behind a guard and not find the hole. Ramondre's just been in the league, been in the system. He's finding the holes, and he's cheaper. And on top of that, Trevion Henderson was the best pass blocker out of his class. Everyone thought that. But in the NFL, he's having trouble with blitz pickup. And that's all and correct me if I'm wrong, James White, but Josh McDaniels ask you to understand what is happening on the field as much as the quarterback does. So that is a big learning curve if he isn't getting that. So I have flipped, and I love Henderson. He has the highest upside. I've never seen a rookie have 1,100 total scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns. And again, fantasy nerds will be like, he sucks. I'm like, no, he's just a rookie. What are we doing here, man? That's crazy. Highest upside, but we can't sleep on Ramondre, man. The dude is it's like we talk about Charbonnet. He just gets it done, and as long as he doesn't fumble the ball, he's very productive.
I was just about to say, does that fade you a little bit with I know that, and James, I know that you got no disrespect to Ramondre, great player, but does the ball security issues over the last couple of years, fade you a little bit on him?
Vrabel's a different guy than Belichick. He's already proven, because when Ramondre fumbled last season, I was like, oop. He's gone to the shadow realm, but Vrabel's like, no, I coached him, and I'm not benching him. He didn't fumble the rest of the season. Yeah. I don't know what Vrabel did, but he didn't fumble the rest of the season. So
no, 100%. Speaking on the same line on the running backs, I mean, one of my favorite free agent signings was Kenneth Walker going to the Kansas City Chiefs. How much value do you think he has, and where should he get drafted? Because I think he's the best running back that Patrick Mahomes has had since probably Kareem Hunt in his first couple of years in the NFL.
Yeah, his rookie year when he was still fresh.
Yeah.
I think he's a borderline first round pick. If I'm drafting on the back end, I'm normally double tapping Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker, depending on what league I'm in, because the Chiefs, people aren't. They're so off. This is a little bit of Rashee Rice question that we're gonna have here. they've never had a running back this capable in the passing game before. And Andy Reid loves those screens. What is Kenneth Walker really, really good at? They're going to get him the ball early and often. I'm never a chase the money guy, but in this case, when you're the Chiefs, which every year is a Super Bowl contending year, you're going to get your best player the ball often. He's one that I think that even with Mahomes, did you know that Mahomes, I think he led in rushing attempts last year, low key? Yeah. They don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I think this is going to be a run first team. And I go back to the Patriots, what I've seen there, where Tom Brady, don't draft Tom Brady because they were a run first team at that time. Because it was I think it was you and LeGarrette Blount that were getting a lot of the carries at the time, where a lot of the times you want to take the pressure off your quarterback. I've seen that with Peyton Manning. And now I think it's Pat Mahomes era where he's older. He just got a major injury. They want to bring him along slowly. Kenneth Walker is going to be a workhorse for him, and I'm absolutely all in on him.
You think Pat Mahomes, still QB1 material coming off the board, being one of the first quarterbacks off the board?
100%, because I think that there's still going to be a lot of red zone opportunities. That's the thing, is there are going to be a lot of they're not going to go pure run heavy. They're just going to go a lot more run heavy than what they were, because they were they've been one of the highest pass attempts in the league just out of necessity. So I think that we're just going to see him score differently, and it's going to be a lot more touchdowns, a little bit less rushing. And I think who takes the biggest hit is Rashee Rice. He's off my board completely. Yep. I just don't want Rashee Rice.
No. Last but not least, if you had to say one fantasy sleeper, could be at any position that is kind of off everybody's radar, that that you probably pick in most drafts, if he's still available later in the rounds, what guy are you selecting in maybe one of your last two picks in your fantasy football drafts?
Terrence Ferguson, tight end, the Rams. He was one of my that tight end class. If you're a football nerd, you like watching tape and you like grinding tight ends, that whole class was nuts, man. And Terrence Ferguson was one of them. Sean McVay, he said he's played every position. He's played F, X, Y, Z. The only thing he hasn't played is running back. And Puka Nacua, I don't know when he's going to be healthy. I think they pulled all of his betting lines from Vegas. Well, that normally means that he's going to be injured. Puka Nacua has just kind of been crashing out here lately. Devontae Adams is someone that is very good, but he's older. So statistically, we're going to see a little bit of regression, and he's a higher chance for injury. And let's just say what it is, even being a wide receiver 3 or top 3 target, which he's a tight end, mind you, in a McVay offense, who Vegas and everyone thinks they're going to put up a lot of points. I think when you spend a second round pick on a tight end in year 2 and you're using him like this, he's going to go nuclear. And I'm betting on the offense and I'm betting on the talent. And I know that's crazy that I gave you a tight end, but if you miss out on the big 3, you just fade tight end, and he's you've won a double tap tight end. I would take him, and I'm pretty much off of Rondé Gadsden, but a Hunter Henry, an old reliable,
Isaiah Likely with the Giants now.
Isaiah Likely, actually, that's a huge one, because he's the number 2 target, and every report I've heard from everyone that he's the number 2 target right now behind Malik Neighbors.
Gonna be interesting. Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight, Jagger. Appreciate the insight. I mean, I need to tap into Rotowire before our little fantasy draft coming up, and then I tap in, man. I gotta get locked in. I can't grab Josh Allen again with my number 1 overall pick, so I gotta tap back in. But we appreciate you joining us. Probably had to have you jump back on, probably mid-season or something, to evaluate some of our own draft picks that we made, and see some of the success that some of the guys that we've talked about have had throughout the year. But we appreciate you joining us once again.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you.